happy Saturday, everybody, and welcome to Woodbine Racing Live. What day is today, Jeff?
It is the penultimate day of our racing season, and you look very festive with the sweater.
Sparkly, yes. I'm going to sing Christmas carols all day long. Are you a Christmas guy?
Oh, you know, as a kid I loved it. As an adult,
not so much.
Not so much. I've become a bit of a Grinch.
Oh,
when it comes to
you
that.
can't be. You cannot
It's
be a
all
Grinch
about the
this
kids,
time
though.
of year.
It's all about the kids. You know,
And
I
the
do
big
enjoy
kids,
the,
too.
yeah, I do enjoy watching. Well, my nieces have grown up, but I do like watching, you know, the youngsters and how excited they get.
You know what else I like too? You know, that feeling that we have on closing weekend at Woodbine. It has a vibe.
It does. Right? It's bittersweet because it's been a long year. It's been a year that's had a lot of ups and downs for us here. And, you know, everybody gives a lot day in, day out. It's a real passion. There's no trips to the cottage. There's no summer vacations. You just keep going, you keep going, you keep going, you keep going. And for some, like a Theranos, like a Steve Owens, like a Mark Hasse, they never stop. They just keep on going, right?
Keep on going, yeah. I heard a couple of trainers talking to each other yesterday in the paddock. I just happened to overhear. And they said the first thing they were looking forward to doing was sleeping in.
Yeah, yeah. I just think, too, like, if you do take the winter off and you don't have your own farm, just the fact that, because let's face it, each horse is like a kid.
Yeah,
you know? Like,
it's very stressful.
When you can just kind of unwind a little bit and the horse are just in the paddock a little bit. But then I find, I don't want to speak for the trainers, I find like 1 or 2 weeks off for me and then I'm like, let's go.
Yeah,
I'm ready to rock and roll again, right?
Exactly.
So.
Well, you'll be rocking and rolling at Mohawk. But yeah, it also has that end of school year kind of feel too. You know, everybody saying goodbye to one another and, you know, thanking each other and congratulating each other on some really great seasons. So we're going to put a pretty bow on it over the next couple of days. And we have a lot of big fields, which makes handicapping a little tricky. And a couple of good stake races coming up as well. The La Previante goes today as race number 9 on the card. And we'll see if Fashionably Fab can do it again.
She's dropping down in class. I mean, she ran against open competition last time out. She gets a service at David Moran. And I think it was Ron Gierkink in the racing form mentioned a great point like this. Might be list the notch required and maybe give her a sovereign award at the end of the season as well. So we wish her all the best of luck. I mean, there's a bunch of horses in that race that have had tremendous seasons. So War Painter had some success. You look at Marty's horse, an unbelievable campaign for her as well. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow's race too. But some people don't want the season to end. Like, look at Austin Adams right now and the day that he had yesterday. You know, like he doesn't want that day to end at all. Yeah. He's really rolling right now. Kevin's going good right now.
Saheen, he had a couple of nice winners.
Yeah, and you know, the track I thought was very formful. I didn't think there was really a distinct bias. Really great to see little Dommy have a nice win yesterday with a bit of a different tactic being employed.
And guess what else happened yesterday that you're not talking about?
We cashed the pick for.
Better late than never. And now we're playing with the racetrack's money.
That's right.
So we got another one coming your way today that we feel very, very strongly about this afternoon. So 11 races in store for you, and we do have some surprises on today's program as well. Heard about this surprise in the Woodbine.
I don't know
what that is,
you
but
think Santa's
I'm
coming?
I'm going. Yes.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah. Okay, we aren't going to do the entire card today because obviously we have so many races and we have some other things we want to get to at the end of the show. So we're going to skip race number 1 on today's program. No offense to the people in the opener on the program. And then we'll go over to race number 2 to start things off. It's a wide open quarter. I love wide open quarters. They are my favorite. 5.5 furlongs is the distance here. It's where we kick off the $100,000 guaranteed pick 5. We got a good group of 7 competing in this race. And Jeff, I found this one pretty tricky to sort out because any one of these horses could really jump up and get the win.
And the distance is interesting too, because Border Town I thought really struggled going just 5.5 last time out, and we have to stick and stay at 5.5 furlongs here. And we hate to sound like a broken record, but when it's late in the season and the condition book is what it is, you can't wait. You got to go, even though it might not be your best distance. Now, the way that Marty's going right now might be able to overcome that. There is a little bit of early pace in this race, but one guy that's really good right now is Super Success. He's been able to roll off a nice little campaign in here. He won big last time out. He gets a nice little pace to kind of chase here in this spot. And I think your horse is somewhat intriguing too, that being Air Combat, because Air Combat had a really good trip last time out. but there just wasn't that finish. So I kind of like the drop down in class for your horse here
and
today.
plus, I was looking at the last 3 horses that he's faced,
Right.
right? And if they're in this race,
Last 4 even.
Right? Yeah, you can do the last 4.
Yeah.
Super Dormy, Souped Up, Cotton. These are all tough horses for if they were in for $25,000. But yeah, I went 3-4 because I was a little concerned about the distance too.
Me
for
too.
The 4.
And maybe I got bit a little bit by Bordertown last time because I liked him. I actually lost to a stablemate on that day. But we'll see if he's able to bounce back with a better race. And I think the reason why we like the 25 so much is these are old, hard-knocking horses. They've blown through their conditions.
Yep.
And
they're all classy.
They know how to win, and that's why these races are so much fun.
So let's go to race number 3. The third race is an optional $50,000 claiming event for the girls, fillies and mares to compete. And we just have a smaller group here, just 5. But there are some good ones to watch. First of all, Cara. She's been a lovely horse.
Yep.
I worry about 6.5 being
too.
a bit too far for her today.
That's the million, maybe $1 billion question with her, because that last half a furlong, she might be on fumes.
Yeah.
And she might get there, though, because she's pretty classy in this spot. Now, Tony Galileo and Metaphysical, I remember right at the start of the year, he came up to me and he said, I got a pretty nice horse in Metaphysical, and she beat Ready for Show right off the bat. Since then, she's been the Belmahome, the Seaway, the Ontario H, and the Best Arabian.
Exactly.
Now, does she have one punch left that she can give us in here? If she does, she'll be really, really tough here in this spot, I think. But I think you've hit on the 2 big contenders here in this spot. The one thing you're going to notice today, too, is no Fraser Abley. Because he's going to ride today at Turfway, a game for Josie Carroll. So, because I was looking at it the other day and I was like, where's Fraser?
Right.
And then I figured things out. It took me a little while, but I figured it out eventually.
Yeah. I wonder if Jerry's taking him down. That would be a good
That'd be
road
a fun
trip.
road trip.
Yeah, it's not that far. Like I
No.
passed Turfway on my way to visit Mom
9
and Pa.
hours?
It's not
8?
even that. It's about 7.
Yeah.
Once I hit Florence,
But you
Kentucky.
got the lead foot, though.
That too. But once I hit Florence, I know I'm about an hour and a half away from dinner. So that's the third. The fourth race on the program is where we kick off the pick 4. Got it yesterday. It paid $500, and now we'll see what we can do with it today. We'll go 3/4 of a mile, and this time around we're looking at 2-year-old fillies, and there's a couple of 2-year-old races on in today's pick 4 that make it a little tough for us, but we've gone fairly deep in our pick 4 selections. But we have a horse in this race that both of us, and again, we never talk to each other when we're doing our handicapping. We kind of surprise one another when the picks go up on
Just
the board
makes for
most
better
times.
TV, yeah.
But yes, exactly. But you had seen something, and Jeff got the jump on me on handicapping this week. So he was a day ahead of me, and I was sitting over there doing my homework and said, "Oh, Cup of Kindness." He said, "Don't worry about it. We're going to play that replay."
Yeah, we are. And did not have a great trip. In fact, this race oversubscribed, so it's a split of one another. Races 4 and 5 on the program as well. And Cup of Kindness, you could almost see this happening because she's in really, really tight here at this portion of the race, and you've got horses on both sides, and Cup of Kindness is a young horse. I just think she's like, I'm not really comfortable where I am right now, and unfortunately, Sky's going to have to put on the brakes right here. So you're really, like, at a key portion of the race, you've really had to put the brakes on, and now you have to overcome that a little bit. And what I like about this is she doesn't give up the fight. Now, does she win the race? No, but now you go from that stop and starting, now you're 4 wide, turning for home, so now you're covering a lot of ground here for a young horse like this. And meanwhile, everybody else has gotten the run on you in here, and for the most part, everybody else has had a clean race. And now we start to get a little bit tired. Now we're starting to lay in a little bit here as well. So there is some greenness still, I think, with this horse too, which is to be expected. A very, very young horse in here, but there's no give up, which I like. And now I think, with a bit of a cleaner journey and no stopping and starting, I think we might be right there, because there was a little bit of regression, I would say, from that first career start to the second. So I'm hoping now in start number 3 we get a bit of a better performance, and I'm really hoping for Dave Cody's sake, because he's had a tough couple of weeks.
He has, and I use the same horse as you because of those 2 troubled trips in a row. Now, the horse that bugs me a bit is the 9. She's so Croatian because she drops, and she definitely had a much, much better race on November the 28th, second time.
The only problem is that was a really weak main special weight race, and she only got a 29 buyer, which is not great.
No.
And who else was in there and was favored in that race? That's Golden Sunset, who laid a real egg in that race. Can she bounce back from a really bad race as well? I'm thinking not. I'm going to try and beat Golden Sunset in here, but and one interesting thing as well that I want to point out is the 5. because you rarely see this. This is a June foal. That's a really, really late foal.
Well, that's why you're starting so late in the year.
So like she's really playing catch up right now at this point, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
it's amazing that she even got there.
We'll
as
have
a
to see what she
2-year-old,
looks like.
Yeah, we will. All right, so that's the 4th race on the program to kick off the pick 4. Race number 5. Okay, so here we go. This is the split, right?
Yep.
So the 5th race on the program does feature Mr. Mike DiPaolo, who is 1 away from career win 1,000. This is a great opportunity to get that win out of the way with Talbot Heirloom.
I think he's starting the whole barn this weekend too.
Been
Like he is
busy.
starting a lot of horses, so he's got a great shot to get to that mark. And Talbot Heirloom gets significant class relief here today. You know, showed some real promise first and second time outs. The question is it too late to drop? Because has this horse had a bit of a taxing campaign? This is start number 6. And look, the horse has kind of tailed off a little bit in the last couple of starts, but they've been route races, and now we're back sprinting here today, so that could help out the situation. I always love seeing first-time starters this time of year because it's always important to get that one race under your belt. I'm going to take a shot with Wild Red. Now, Wild Red goes postward for Willie Thranos. Now, Willie yesterday had a second-time starter win on the program. That's a big, big angle for him, and that's something that we definitely want to keep a keen eye on. And that second-time starter was You're So Lucky. Now, I'm hoping that we get some improvement here today with Wild Red with a bit of a better start. And I'm not going to give up with the 9 as well.
I agree.
You know, she's bit me and she's taken a lot of my money to this point, but I still think there's some talent there with that outside runner.
Yeah, and then of course you have some firsters in here too, like you said, Dolce Fortuna, a firster for the Descala Boys stable, and Josie Carroll is actually a co-owner on that and a co-breeder.
They're both bred, yeah. And the 3, Cheat the Devils from the same family as Not So Quiet, made $500,000 and a half to Van Du as well.
Yeah, so some good horses there in race number 5. Let's go to the 6th. 6th race is a maiden optional $25,000 claiming event for the 2-year-old. It's also where we kick off the Jackpot Power Pick 6, and that carryover is more than $11,200. We're going to go 3/4 of a mile. We got a couple of scratches in this race as well. We're taking out the 6, Catherine's Cub is a vet scratch. We're also steward scratching the 11, Dancing Mary Marie. So we have a scratch-reduced field. But I found this one really tough to sort out, Jeff, because you have a couple of firsters in here. And then we have some horses who have had quite a bit of experience this season, like, say, a Motown Funk.
Right, and Motown Funk had a good run last time against the Blue Unicorn, who was a first-time starter on that day for conditioner Darwin Banak as well. So, you know me in these maiden optional 25s, not my strong suit. I'll be the first to admit it, but I did land on Take My Bourbon Neat, who comes out of a bit of
that
race.
Song.
That's I take my whiskey neat. Same meaning though, but you know what? I'm such a geek. I had to Google what that term meant.
Take my bourbon neat?
Yeah, and take
you didn't know what neat is?
No, that's how much. I'm not much of a drinker, right?
Oh my!
So it's
we're
like
going to go to the Woodbine Club, and I'm going to get you a neat bourbon.
Nothing. It's just
a
straight pour at room temperature, right?
Exactly. Like basically, it's just
like
give me a
James Bond.
straight bourbon.
James Bond would drink that type of stuff.
No, James Bond doesn't drink that.
Well, he does the martinis, doesn't he?
Shaken, not stirred.
Yeah, but he would be cool enough to get this. Anyways.
Yeah, he'd be cool enough to get that,
Take my
I guess.
bourbon neat. Speaking of James Bond, I think this one pulled the trigger a little too early last time out. I think the move was just a little too early. And with a young horse, what can sometimes happen is if you move too early, it's like a kid. You know, they just get distracted. They're like, oh, I've done what I need to do here at this portion of the proceedings here. Now, that's turned out to be a really key race. 3rd, 6th, 8th place finishers have all come back to win out of that race. $25,000, $15,000, and $25,000 the price tag.
Have you ever had a shot of tequila in your life before?
I have.
Yeah, okay.
But only, like, I can only do the expensive stuff because that stuff hurts. Like, I gotta go Patronin over, but I can't. Well, you've heard the famous story
One
when
tequila, 2 tequila.
when I worked with Chris Connor. I said, this horse's name is. No, it was Jim.
10.
It was Jim. Yeah,
Tanqueray
10.
10.
And Jim just looks at me and says, "You're obviously not much of a drinker." I said, "No, I'm not."
All right, let's go to. We were going to go to the 7th, but we're going to skip it because, of course, we've had all this discussion about alcohol.
Yeah.
So let's go to the 8th race, an optional 40 non-winners of 3. Now, oh boy, all these races today are kind of salty, right? Like you're looking at, say, Prima as a contender in here for John Mattini. You might get that one at a little bit of a price. You look at maybe Golden Boss. Loses Saheen, though. That's interesting because he he did ride I'm Into Mischief last start out, and the opposite stayed there. Raffy's going to pick up the 7, and you know, Raffy didn't have a winner on yesterday's program, which means he should be good for at least 5 on today's card. This is where we kick off a second pick 4. What did you do here?
Yeah, it's like I'm Into Mischief has not really done that great since being claimed. The last race was okay, but I still think there's more there, so I did give that one the slight nod. But Golden Boss is very good right now for sure. Now, Prima, did she get burned a little bit by the half and the way the fractions unfolded last time out?
Not just the half, but remember the break? We were talking about that.
Right, she didn't get out of the gate.
She didn't grab that racetrack when she broke, and because she's a horse who I think likes to be forwardly placed, it just threw her right off.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Because she didn't, yeah, you're right, because she kind of got shuffled back there a little bit, and then she had to make this big wide outside rally on that occasion too. So things just didn't really go that well. I like the fact she gets reunited with Flores because Flores has had success with that horse in the past. But just looking at this race overall, very unusual for this time of the season. If you toss out Mrs. C and Olympic Fencer, everybody's coming in with really good form right now into this race too. Yeah. So there's some horses that are really rolling right now. So that should be a good race, I would think.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, some of these fields that are maybe a little bit smaller are very evenly matched, right? Yeah. So yeah, this one should be a good race as well. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll look at the back half, including the La Pravillon.
Love horse racing? HPIBet.com is Canada's leader in online horse betting. Access thousands of live races from hundreds of tracks worldwide instantly. Enjoy the most advanced betting tools like AI Smart Picks and exclusive cashback rewards you won't get anywhere else. Join today and get up to $100 in free bets. Get the ultimate horse betting experience with HPIBet.com.
So the on-track feature for today is the Le Pravillon. Goes for a purse of $100,000. This race for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. It is an Ontario sired race as well, and the fun part about this one is Fashionably Fab, because she won this race last year. That's how she capped off her 2023, and then this season has been so much fun watching her. There's been 2 spectacular stories with this mare, and both of them come with a rider. Right?
Yep.
The fact that she gave Pietro Moran his very first stake score in the Belle Mahone, which was a grade 3, and then that Dave Moran, and we showed you this replay yesterday with Robert, Dave Moran rode her in the Ontario Matron, which was a grade 3 as well, and he won with her too because Pietro had recently been injured at that time. So it's really kind of a cool story as far as the riders are concerned with what this mare's been able to do for them.
And she's a beautiful homebred too, you know, for people that have invested a lot of money in this game. They're not one of the bigger breeders in Ontario, but they breed maybe 5 or 6 mares a year, and they got Fashionably Fab in here. She's a 9-time winner, and she's the class of the race. I mean, you look at her speed figures, she kind of towers over the rest of the field in here. You're not going to get much of a price in here, but that's, listen, I know this is a gambling game, but to me, that's almost secondary. I just want to see this horse end the year on a good note.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to see her get her 10th career win and wrap up what potentially can be a championship campaign. The other thing is, I think others of the key contenders might be over the top a little bit, like Hurricane Claire. For her to give it up last time out the way that she did, she might be a little bit tired. And Tito's Calling, you know, she's blowing through her conditions now. She's finding things a little bit tougher as well in here. I want to go back to the Asperger's Bay, though, and focusing on War Painter a little bit, because you got to give her some credit, because for the longest time, the knock against her, she just didn't have that knockout blow, right? But she took advantage of a late pace in this race that got really soft, and she showed some gumption to win this race. And I just want to show it to you because this is a perfect example, and I know a lot of us don't bet with tickets anymore, but never tear up your tickets, because I would say halfway down the stretch, it didn't look like this horse was going to win. And then all of a sudden, she almost went back and said, okay, I'll win this race. But like right now, we're under a bit of a hard ride. Here's little Teddy right here who's on the front. Looks like this horse is going to win. Here's Hurricane Claire right here. I mean, even at this portion of the race, it doesn't look like we're going to get anything. Now, the only negative to this race is they all just clump together late, which usually means it's a decelerating pace in here. But you know what? She plugs along and she beats a good horse in the process. You know, I got to give her some credit for that. I think she might be a nice horse next season. She's had a good campaign. She was a stakes winner as a 2-year-old, stakes winner as a 3-year-old as well. And you know, she's obviously against a bit of a tougher group of horses here in this spot, but I got to give her some props for that victory.
Yeah, it kind of feels like Kevin 1-2 here in this
Could
race,
be.
doesn't it?
Could be.
Yeah, and both of the horses that he's sending out are for owners that have been really great for this game as well. So be fun to see one of whoever it is in the winner's circle today. Jeff's going to brave the cold weather today.
I'm ready.
He's got his long johns on. Race number 10, 10th race to kick off the late double. And it's an optional 32 going 3/4 of a mile. Now, we were really excited to see Old Blondie get the win last start out, right? Like, you know, I don't recall if either one of us actually put that mare on top. Yeah, I don't think so. But when we saw her winning, we felt really good for her, right?
Yeah.
And Paul Buttigig's had a pretty good last couple of weeks.
And he's got a couple of horses, like Artie Storm and this one, that wear the bar shoes. And they overcome that, and they're able to win. And if you're not familiar with bar shoes, it just gives the hoof a little bit more support. And traditionally, I don't love playing horses with that until they show me they can run with it. But there's sometimes when you watch races, you just know, if you didn't pick this horse, you're in trouble. Because look at the move this horse is going to make right here. Like, you knew that she was going to win as soon as she started to make this run in here. And here she is right now. And what's been so unique about her career, Lisa, is early on she was like a 5-furlong speed specialist. And now she's kind of blossomed into this off-the-pace sprinter. But watch this turn of foot in here. Now, they went pretty good up front. They went 22, 45, and 1. But she is just absolutely playing with them right now in here as she makes this big move. And she's going to win the race eventually by a length and a quarter. Now, one that did not have the best of trips is in this race, that being Chrome-Plated Hearts, who just now gets some racing room. But Old Blondie, I mean, she just, you know what she did? She kind of went back to that back class that she's got. And, you know, she was able to win. And she could get a very nice setup here in this spot as well, because you have others in this race that potentially could show some speed, like a Gimme the Boots, like a Silent and Sinful. Now, the one that I really wanted to pick when the overnight came out was Jimmy's Affair, because we've been tracking this horse. But unfortunately acted up in the gate and was a scratch for 40 non-2. And I just don't know if Jimmy at this portion of his career, or her career I should say, can beat these 32,000.
Well, that's just it. You're talking about a horse going out for the 4th time compared to some going out for their 31st lifetime starts. I think experience might get the better of her today, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. You know, she obviously had a nice return to the races on November the 3rd, and I think we were all putting her up on top that day she got scratched out of the gate. So here's how we kick off the late double race number 10. The 11th race on the program is the Jackpot High Five finale, and that carryover is really growing. It's more than $67,000. This is a wild card. Like, this is a really tough one, because aside from the 2, I find it very difficult to make selections here.
And even with Empire's Treat, this horse has never ever sprinted. And now we're going to go 7/8 in here. So like speed figure wise, class wise is a standout, but then you look at it, you're like, 7 furlongs, so I don't know if the horse is going to be able to get up going 7/8 of a mile or not in this spot. Now, I did have the 10 in second. Now I've scratched on the 9 Silent Diva for my second selection.
I did exactly the same thing as you.
Yeah.
The 10 was the other one that caught my eye as well, but we both had to scratch onto 9, and I bet a lot of people scratching onto the 9 horse here in this race as well. So the 11th race is how we finish the day, and then tomorrow we come back with 13 races. You got to get a good night's sleep tonight.
I will.
As I like to say to you before big days, no hanky-panky.
No hanky-panky.
All
no,
right.
sir. No, sir. Just me and my Maple Leafs tonight.
You got it. You got it. All right. Our plays of the day. Let's see what we got as we summarize it all into one nice little page. What do you got today?
So here we go. Plays of the day. We'll go right into the leadoff position, and we're going to start off with Fashionably Fab. So unoriginal. My vulnerable favorite is going to be Two Sip Sally. I just think she had a perfect trip last time out and has to face much tougher in here. I'll make my price play Cup of Kindness. And my wild card is Golden Sunset because that was not a good last race. And if she can get back on the beam, she might be able to do some damage, but I just don't know if that's going to happen or not.
Well, there's two unoriginal people in the room because I made Fashionably Fab my single on the day as well. I used Cara Cara as a vulnerable favorite because I'm just not sure about the distance today. But Prima's my price play after what happened last start out with that bad break from her. And Cup of Kindness is my wild card on today's program. We have we have picks from Doug and picks from Ron. Doug's got Cara Cara at 9-5. Prima, there you go. I'm with you, Ron. 6-1 the price on that one, who comes up in race number 8 on the program. We have one clocker horse for you on today's card too, and that does come up in the pick form. Race number 5. No, we do not, dear. Yes.
That's not good.
No, I saw that and thought, uh-oh. But anyways, it's a Bev Chubb horse that she's got in the 5th race, Anella, who is at 12-1 morning line. He's talking about the work on November the 24th from the gate, but he's saying that this one outworked an unraced stablemate. So he's looking for a price horse, likely. Now, we have some other horses in that race that we feel pretty confident on, but you might want to consider that horse in your early pick for as well.
She's going to be a price.
Well, she's 12-1.
And the Clocker Report had a beautiful winner yesterday. What, 5-1?
They did.
6-1, something like that.
Something like that. It was a good price, that's for sure. Okay, so we promised you some fun recaps as we look back. You know, Jeff and I were talking about this last week, and it wasn't something that was planned. It was like, maybe we should pull up some of these races that we really enjoyed watching, and they're not necessarily stakes races, right? They're just some things that kind of races that got stuck in our head, and afterwards, like, man, that was a hell of a race. We got to remember that one. And so we have a few that we want to take a look back. This one we put in last minute because we were reminded of it yesterday. Yeah. It was the career debut from Golden Test when in the hands of Eddie Catrine.
And watch the start here coming out of the starting gate in here. So was favored on this day. And we just say, let's make a wicked right turn right out of the gates. If you bet this horse, I think we keep the horse in the pick 4 that day
Probably.
too, because that was the start of the pick 4. And now eventually it's going to get towards the inside. And the one thing I got to give Leo a lot of props for is he never panicked. Like he didn't say like I got a gun to the front or anything like that. So we'll get to a later portion of the race in here and just watch. I mean, she's in an impossible spot in here, Golden Test, and we're like, okay, where are we going to go at this portion of the proceedings in here? And it just keeps coming along. Like usually when you have to overcome a start like that to get back into contention, you're done.
You know, when you were talking about, you know, not a lot of people have, you know, tickets anymore.
Yeah.
This I could imagine myself, if I had tickets in my hand, as soon as this horse sprung from the gate, I would have thrown them up in the air.
Absolutely.
Right? And then afterwards, I'd be scrounging around looking to find them again because this really surprised a lot of us.
It was an incredible performance.
And got claimed out of that.
Yeah, it was a 25,000 clamor, I think. And again, these are just sort of our memorable moments from this season, just like kind of things that we remember in here. That's one of the biggest recoveries. To put that into a hockey analogy, that's coming back from like a 7-0 defeat to win 8-7 in overtime.
It's true.
You know, it was an amazing thing to see. So that's one of the first things. Now the second one, I got to give you credit for this one because you were brave enough to pick this horse off a long layoff. And this was Philip My Dear, a champion at one portion of the proceedings, coming off a long layoff. And I got to give a lot of props to a lot of trainers that have brought a horse off a long layoffs this season and been able to win races. Now, Kazushi at this portion of the race, he's in a great spot. He does get a little bit lucky that the seam opens up on the outside. But I was so worried because not only was this a former champion coming off a long layoff, but they dropped him for a quarter on this day. So it was just great to see him kind of come back. And just Robert's call, too. He was so excited to see the horse win, you know?
Yeah, like this isn't, again, this is probably one of our most memorable comeback races of the season. And we understand it wasn't against Stakes Company, but just look at him digging in. Like that's the old class coming through in Philip My Dear. And now, I mean, we're excited to see him next season. You know,
he's a turf horse. That's the problem.
He needs the grass.
He's kind of limited to what it comes to.
We got a lot of grass racing coming up next season.
Do.
Okay, next one. This one was pretty fun. This was probably, this should have been on the highlight reel at every news channel across the Toronto area, but it didn't make it, unfortunately. This is the ride from Fraser Abley when he was a bug aboard Port Renfrew. And remember this too, Jeff, because after this happened, we had Fraser in and he was, you it was amazing. The recovery was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I was trying to explain this to my friends who didn't see the race. I'm like, no, he came off the horse and then he got back on the horse and he kept on riding.
Yeah, it was amazing. I don't know if Fraser ever did gymnastics as a youngster, but and here's a look at the head. It
The head-on's kind of cool too.
Like, could you that if this was me, my
I'm
pants
long
would
gone.
no longer be white. Like I would have been just in a bad spot. But what a recovery that was.
Quick thinking.
You know what the only negative is to that? That Port Renfrew never came back after that race.
Yeah, but you know what was interesting about that? The horse that got him was Gather.
Yep.
And what happened? Fraser got back on
That's
and rode
right.
Gather into the winner's circle
That's
the
right.
next start out. So that's kind of karma. That was a lot of fun.
Now for this next one, can we say this was the ride of the year?
This was the ride of the year.
Yeah.
This one just gave me chills.
Yeah.
And after this ride happened, I even went to the rider and gave him a big hug. It was pretty awesome. Okay, so want to set it up?
So here's Dryden, heavily favored in this race, and he's an empire maker that's only run like 3 or 4 times going into this race. And I'll tell you, Sahin, I'll take him to Vegas. What a gambler he is. There's no shot this horse wins from this spot. Absolutely no shot. You stay on the inside, you're going 5/8 of a mile, the rail's out. Like, where does he go?
Mm-hmm. And you could see he's under a full head of steam too.
Go, can't go anywhere, can't go anywhere. But watch this little move he's going to make here coming up right now. And he dives towards the inside. He's able to pull off the victory. That was the ride of the meet for me.
Yep.
To overcome that easily could have been one of those where you're coming back to the chalks room with a paper bag on your head. Because you're just like, I can't believe I had nowhere to go in that race. But it worked out to perfection. So there's some races that we're going to remember from this season that aren't necessarily the big races. We're going to recap those for you coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to look back at some of the big races, but those are some of our memorable moments from the 2024 racing season. Today is Customer Appreciation Day. Looking forward to that. We got to go up and get our toques. So we had a toque giveaway today. They are giving away food. They're giving away betting vouchers.
Elisa Blow autographs.
Well, we're going to the Turf Club because they're giving something away too. I don't know what it is, but I want to go up there and see what they got. Of course, maybe we'll have leftovers upstairs on the 6th floor. I always like this time of year. I'm like a raccoon, right? Like on garbage day. I just kind of go around to all the different floors and find out who's having potluck.
Yep, exactly. And there's like betting vouchers. If you're betting on track here today, you might get a little secret present of a voucher coming your way.
Could you imagine you put your voucher and it gives you a free $100?
That's 2 to show on something and here pops out a $100 voucher.
That'd be pretty
good.
That'd be awesome. Okay, so again, Guest Appreciation Day will be celebrated all afternoon. 11 races in store for you today on a sunny Saturday here from Woodbine.